How many are you purchasing for like the classic or the the what I typically talk about like 6, 7,000 or less?
I I'm getting more of those. And like what I'll say is the more you're in the business, the more of those opportunities are going to you're going to come across. Now this one, she was actually advertising it for 23,000.
Okay.
I got her to 9 because I was able to understand and it was a beautiful home. So did I try to get it for less? Absolutely, but you know when someone's breaking point is.
Mhm.
And I actually gave her a little more money than I wanted to,
Nice.
so make it even a little more win-win for her because she was going through some stuff. She needed money for her mother. So, the whole process is we always love to get a grand slam every time. But if I'm doing good single hits and it's going to make me money down the road, I'm okay with that because we're not always going to get those really cheap homes. And people have to understand that in our business model. Hey, as long as we're in a business and we are doing good where our deals are making us money, to me, that's all that matters.
It's still a
It's
win.
still a win. And every once in a while, hopefully more than, every once in a while, we'll get those grand slams.
You two are, some people I feel like have. Blue, 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 blue. Let's start that all over again.
Take two.
John Fedro here with mobileHomeInvesting.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have very special guests here, Diana and Michael. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
John. We really appreciate it.
This is fun. This is cool. You have a lot of experience. You're helping folks. You have obviously deals under your belt, homes that you're working on now. We're going to talk about some good stuff and some ugly stuff, some not good stuff, some things for people to watch out for on this call. So this is really fun. Do everyone a favor, please, and how long have you been investing in mobile homes? Did you come from mobile home investing? Was there single family homes? And then now I think you're looking towards maybe parks as well, or you're just not afraid of anything, basically. So
Right.
kind of how does that look? Yeah, how does your business look? I guess was what I'm saying.
Yes, we came from the single family background.
Okay.
We were investing in that for about 5 years. And then I was in a meetup group and I stumbled upon mobile home investing. And someone kind of said some things, and I said, I don't know about this. Because a few years back, I looked into it and I didn't see anything. I'm like, this is not for me. So I was in a different
When
mindset.
when you say you look back a couple of years ago or a while ago, was that you just looked in the market, you looked online for some education, or how did that?
I looked at, we had
Couple
a
opportunities.
couple opportunities to look at investing in mobile homes because we've heard other people doing it. So I went to drive a couple parks and I didn't see it at that time.
Okay.
It wasn't for me. My blinders were on. So
I don't think he was mentally there.
and that's all right. That's all
You know?
right. You don't always see something the first time around. So I wanted to take that chance and really look at it and evaluate it. And I did. And I actually started talking to people in the parks because I wanted to know why they live there. I wanted to get information about them
Wow.
because that's going to basically help me understand the mobile home or let's say manufactured home communities. And it's pretty interesting. It really was. And I said, we're going to jump into it. And Diana's like, are you sure? I don't know about this. You have to show me that there's something there.
Yeah.
And she taught me everything I know in the real estate side. So I was actually fortunate enough to show her a little bit about mobile homes, because she is more of an expert on the real estate side. And now I'm getting to be more of an expert on the mobile homes, even though she does have a lot of information to put in. She's good with details, contracts, and I just go run wild.
Yeah,
That's a little bit about what this business needs. Just
it's true.
almost like beginner's luck. I think sort of that's where it comes from. You're too dumb to like just know. You just keep chugging forward. You keep just full steam ahead. Is that
Right.
beginner's luck? Not that you're ignorant or dumb of anything, but just that you just push forward no matter what. Like
You don't know what you don't know.
yeah. Until you know it, and then keep
Exactly.
learning more because there's always more you don't
Yeah,
know.
he brings everything home and says, "Here, we're going to do this," and I go, "We're going to do what?" And I have to figure it out now on paper, and how it's going to work and do all that, legally. the paperwork stuff, you know.
So then I love that you two are doing things together. This is your full-time business?
All we do all day long.
What does your business look like now, if you don't mind me asking, with regards to mobiles or single family? Has it transitioned mostly to mobiles?
Yes, we're completely 100% mobile homes. Not that if an opportunity came by us, you know, for a single family, we wouldn't take it if it made sense number-wise. But that's not what we're looking for. We're not out there pursuing single family residents at all. We are 100% mobile homes.
Are there any mobile deals that you will not do?
We do them all, in parks and on land.
Excellent.
And attached, not attached, you know, because the difference of real estate opposed to not being real estate. For those of you that don't know, we all learn things along the way, but we've done them all actually in parks. We've moved them from one park to another. We've bought on land where it was attached, and which was a great deal, by the way. Big return on that.
Was that one of your first homes on land, mobile homes on land, and that opened your eyes?
Yes,
I think so, yeah.
It did. And the guy personally contacted me through my website. So he Googled someone that buys mobile homes. He got my website.
Yes.
And that was great. And I was able to make that connection with him. And when we did, he kind of gave me a little too much information because he goes, you know, Mike, I don't want to have to deal with anybody else. So once he said that, I knew I was basically in, and I was going to get pretty much the price I needed.
Right.
So,
have you found the sellers, mobile home sellers in parks and mobile home sellers on land, for as different as those two animals are, do you find that the sellers share similar characteristics?
They do and they don't. Sometimes on land, they think their house is worth way more than what it is. Okay. As you know as well, in parks they do too, but you kind of can go over the scenario of what's going on. If they had their home up for a month, they're very surprised when I just start going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go through everything, and they're like, well, how did you know? Well, my mentor, John, told me.
You don't say that.
So once you have information, and plus I'm doing it every day, it kind of gets really easy to understand what their pain is, because everybody's coming to them. They want cash. And I go, you're getting a lot of people that want you to owner finance, right? Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm coming to you with a lower price, but cash, and we can get rid of those headaches for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know that.
I think when they're
it makes it a lot easier.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think when they're on land, they think of it more like a single family home.
Definitely.
You know?
Yes.
So their mindset is, well, the home, whether it's a mobile home, just down the road or not, or a stick-built home, they're thinking that price.
Oh, that's funny. They base their home's value on the comparable sales of a mansion down the street. Ultimately, I think I would rather get to a mobile home seller on land sort of last. With mobile homes in parks, I kind of like to get there first, or just to befriend them, build rapport. But with mobile homes on land, I almost want to reach them last. Like try to sell with a realtor, try to sell for sale by owner. Understand that the market is not what you think it is. Or if it is, get $1 million, get what you can get it for it. But I almost reach people kind of towards the end. That way they're, prepared to be creative or have a conversation.
Well, and if they're not in reality yet, they need to be in order for us to make this all work. Because if they think their house is worth $50,000, but in reality it's worth 12, that's a huge gap. That's a big gap. So you just got to educate them, obviously, in the market. 99%, maybe 95% of the time, realtors don't know about mobile homes, how to go about selling them. They think of them like single family homes as well. So when it comes to inspections and things of that nature, that's a completely different animal than an inspection on a single family home, opposed to an inspection on an inspector will come into a mobile home and go, holy crap, this is terrible. But it's a mobile home, and it's built like a mobile home.
Correct.
And he's thinking of it as a stick built. So he's pointing out things that are not issues. They're issues if it was a house, stick-built home, but it's not an issue if it's a manufactured home. The dominant world that we live in is single-family homes, So, I mean, not that there is tons of manufactured homes and mobile homes, but having that many people dealing with them on a daily basis, we don't find it for some reason. And I think that we had an inspection, correct me if I'm wrong, that the guy was like, there's no foundation or something.
Yeah, I swear to God they said that.
What are you talking about? Of course there's no foundation.
Because it was on some sort of just packed gravel or packed, I mean, it was just on dirt, the earth, rather than a concrete slab.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he basically put in his report. It wasn't even our property. It was a property I was trying to buy. And they, in a park, didn't want to know really what their house was worth. And I said, this is what it's worth. They actually had a realtor list it for $64,000. It was a 1992.
Yeah.
Now, was it nice? The home was all drywall. They actually put granite in the home as well. It was crazy. It looked good, but, it wasn't meant to be there. I came in, she didn't like my offer, she didn't like what I had to say, and I was nice about it. So they actually had that house up for 5 months. It did not sell. Somebody came in and they called me on a property I had in there, and they looked at mine, but mine was a little high for them. So they said, hey, what do you think about this property? I said, absolutely, you should go check it out. I don't mind if they buy mine or another one. They might come back to me. So they actually, the homeowner let that buyer get an inspection. She should have never did that. So they had a single family home inspector come in, and he put so many things on there, she backed out of the deal.
Scared the buyer because it's the buyer's first time buying a mobile home.
So the park manager told us about it and said, yeah, she had an inspection by a single family residence guy, and he put all these things on there that are not wrong. Some were, but really just scared her off.
Of course.
Yeah.
And they still have not sold the property yet, and it's been over a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And right now it's still on the market, as we should.
No, they took it off the market. They took it off. These people said they're in no rush. They have no big deal.
Oh, good for them.
They're in no rush because they can't sell it.
Took their neighbor over a year and a half to sell their home. So they figured maybe that's the norm. And I'm like, well, no, that's not the norm if you price your house right. So they have dropped their house quite a bit and just finally took it off the market after that inspection came through. They took it off.
Well, they didn't want to hear what Michael had to say because they still had that. They weren't in reality of what their home's worth, obviously. And they didn't like his number. So I told him, watch. I guarantee you they're going to go get a realtor, and the realtor will give them the number that they want to hear.
Yes, great point.
Because the realtor deals with real estate. This is private property in a park. And granted, it's a nice manufactured home, but it's not, you cannot price it like a home. You've got to know what you're doing there and go with, and it's hard, obviously, to pull comps in a park if you don't know the park.
Right.
As a realtor, where's she going to get her comps from? Single family homes.
Correct. In most states, that's not listed, but you'd have to talk to the park manager, possibly if there's a really good realtor listing a lot of properties in that park. But yeah, you want to find out days on the market, what things are selling for, bank financing, cash prices. Do you find that when a seller is selling a mobile home, they have these thoughts of grandeur, of what their home's worth? I bought it for 20. I've put 5 into it over the years. Now I want 25 or 30. And do you find that when sellers, they have this time period of when they need to sell, let's say they have like 5 months before they need to sell. 5 months their home has to be gone. They won't lower the price. They start at 50,000. They won't lower it normally. At like 1 month they'll lower it 10,000, next month they'll lower it another 10,000. They wait almost until the end when they have to go, dropping the price very little. And I don't know if it's like pride or something like that, but they just won't drop the price. And then a month before they have to leave, now that panic sets in. And then they drop it from 50 down to like 30 or 20. And you're like, well, I probably would have bought, so it's, do you find that where it's not this gradual lowering of price? It's sort of, when that emotion hits them kind of towards the end or the end of the month, and it's like, oh crap, and they make a big drop in price. I've seen that a bunch. So.
I have seen that, and then I try to explain to them when I meet them, your house is always going to be worth more to you than to me. Yeah. And I just try to get them to understand
Just
where
really
I'm
cool.
coming from. And I get it. And I'm like, I understand. This house has meaning to you. You've had it for a while. But I look at it as an investment. You look at it as a home. So let me just basically sit down and talk to you to see where you're at and to see if we're able to make something happen. If we are, we are. If we're not, that's okay as well. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And when I go over that and I'm that nice to them, they're like, oh my goodness, but they think sometimes we're going to fight. It's like, no, we're just here to make a win-win situation.
Big
and if
time.
we can't, good luck.
When I tell them that our exit strategy is to find a good, buyer, not the first person with money, we don't fast turn properties, and for the most part, I don't. Putting a good person in here who's going to live here, raise their family, make payments, and I get a lot of when I tell people that, I can see them just kind of, relax a little bit. The fact that we're not making all this profit off of their home right away, and it's going to be profitable, but we're selling on payments to a good, hardworking family down the road. Which, again, I see just a lot of the sellers kind of feel a little bit more relieved or good. I'm glad, my home, my baby is going to somebody who's going to love it.
Yes, we actually had one of those in particular that came to mind as you were talking, that was the case. The mother had passed away, and the home had been vacant for quite a while, maybe
a couple months.
6 months or something like that. So they had they had several people interested in it because this is a very good location. And so we came in, she got offered more money actually than what we offered her before, but she took us because she knew that, it was sentimental to her, and she knew we were going to come in, we were going to fix this property up because it was in bad shape. It had had a leak, so now it's got mold, and mold is gold to us. But if you don't know how to do all that, it's kind of a scary thing. So it's not like a lot of everyday buyers would come in there and just pick that up. But she did get offered more money, but she went with us because of the fact that she knew we were going to take care of that property, we were going to fix that property up, and we were going to get some good end buyers in there to make new memories, and that was important to her. So
that is so great. I mean, she got a bigger offer. She got more money. When does that happen? That's happened a few times in my career too, but it doesn't happen often.
Right.
But it means there's, something worth more than the money. Yeah. You said that home was vacant 6 months. Have any of your properties, when they're vacant for longer than a certain amount of time, have you had to ever get an inspection because the power was off for so long, or the gas was off for so long? You ever had to do that?
No, I mean, I'm sure you might do the same thing. We're buying houses as is. Mm-hmm. So I won't tell them to turn anything on. If it's already shut off, we're okay with that. But, my price is going to reflect that stuff. That I know in the back of my head, mm-hmm. This could be wrong, this could be wrong. And it's okay.
But there's also, Michael has a construction background. So that is a benefit to us. Not everybody, mm-hmm. Not everybody has that knowledge. Where we are very lucky to know that stuff. So he can, a lot of times, not that it's 100% bulletproof, but a lot of times he can go in and see issues that it's gonna have or does have.
You're doing a number of deals. How many just ballpark communities are you actually involved within?
Communities, maybe about.
Maybe a little over it. Well, I like to keep it. I like to keep it tight.
Yep.
And not spread myself out too much because not every park wants us in there.
Right.
And I even talked to owners, and one owner was asking me questions, and I was answering it every single time. And I was like, "Oh, I got this guy," and Diana's listening in the background, and Diana had a different opinion on him, and I'm like, "No, I got him on the phone. Let me see what I can do." And he was just an old school guy. And he's like, I think what you're doing and what I'm doing, it's a conflict of interest. And he couldn't get over that hump, and I was okay with it. So I just cut it short. And I'm like, I'm not going to invest. He has a handful of parks, and I'm just not going to try to be where they don't want us.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, there's other opportunity.
Exactly.
And you can revisit this guy in 6 months if something changes with him.
Yeah. And then we have leads all over. So, if I'm going to get something that's, say an hour and a half away, and it's a good deal, if I have something in my own backyard where I have a lot space, we'll get it and we'll move it. because I might not like that park.
Have you ever burnt? Well, some park managers don't care. Have you ever had any irate managers or burned any bridges in parks by moving a home out of there?
Never.
No,
Oh, good.
I talked to him about it before I do it. We just had an incident this past week where these people wanted me to purchase their home. We basically agreed on a price. They didn't want me to go talk to the manager, but we have to. We have to go talk to the manager. Well, the manager says, I'm not going to give you any information unless you tell me who the client is you're trying to buy the house from, because I own or finance most of them in this park. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So as soon as I told him things, I started breaking the ice a little bit. He was okay. But the next day, he sent them a letter saying, we as the park owners have the first right of refusal to buy your home.
Yep.
But before I even went out there, I asked them, I said, have you guys contacted the park and asked them to give you an offer on your home before I drive out there? And they're like, well, no and yes. So I took it as, with all the stuff they're going through, they didn't even want the park to buy it. They just didn't like the park. And we know what happens between the park and the owners of a mobile home when they're back on lot space rent and stuff like that. We understand that. So he was a little bit upfront, didn't want to give me any information. I broke the ice. It took me another week before I was actually able to purchase the home because he gave them an offer and then I bought it. So what I was hoping, since it was so far away, and I was telling him, I was like, I wish you guys would have gave him more money so I wouldn't have to buy it and move it.
What's your opinion with that? I don't run into many, well, 20% maybe. I mean, it's not the majority at all. But I don't run into many parks that do the first right of refusals. And I'm sure that's, it's different per area. But let me know your thought. Have you ever been outbid by a park? Or...
No, that's the first time we actually came across that.
Okay.
But I think that it went, at first the park manager was, he really was a jerk, for lack of better words. But it's because of experience with the sellers. They were behind. Obviously there was some tension there that had been before we came along.
Right.
And so once they realized, they got us for another 2 weeks of back rent, which we had to come up with, cost us a little bit more money. And I think they did that on purpose at first, and then they realized they really didn't want the home. So we'll let, Michael come and buy it now. And they made it, now it's fine, but sometimes in the beginning you do get pushback and you get those scenarios, and you just got to kill them with kindness regardless, and let them know what your intentions are. And our intentions are nothing but good. Yeah. If we keep this home in your park, we're going to get you a tenant that's going to pay. We're going to set them up to win. You're going to win. They're going to win. We're going to win. It's a good thing. And if we don't find a buyer, we'll move it out and we'll put it somewhere if that comes first, And so you're going to get money, and we're going to catch them up. We're going to pay you, Mr. Park, and we're going to pay them out, and everybody's going to be happy in the end. So after you explain that, obviously, they kind of soften a little, majority of the time.
Great thing to say. People that are listening, I hope you listened to that. You mentioned kill them with kindness, and then clarity, explain why you're there, what you're doing, all the benefits. Have you ever used, let's say you're in 2 parks already, they're happy with you. Have you ever used those 2 parks as references for this other park that doesn't know about you yet? Or have they ever asked?
We have, not with this particular park we didn't, but we have with other parks that made reference of, hey, we're in this park too, feel free to call and ask about us, type thing.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So then with, so you have, there's a couple dozen deals under your belt, mobile homes on land, mobile homes in parks, many, brokering as well. Let's talk, if we can, about a couple of these deals. Go into some numbers, good, bad, ugly, and I'll ask you some questions about the deals. Okay. Do you have a couple on your mind, or one or two that you're thinking of? Awesome.
So we'll talk about the one that I said was a great deal, the one on land.
Oh yes. Okay.
Okay.
Oh yes. Okay.
So we purchased this one for 27, but with closing costs and everything, it was like 29,000 that we had to come out of pocket to purchase it. So then and this needed work. The home itself needed work. It was on an acre of land with a big workshop.
30 by 30 steel workshop on it.
Yeah,
Nice.
really nice. So it'd be great for somebody with a mechanic. That's the seller was a mechanic on race cars or something like that. So it's nice for that type of a clientele or whatever. But regardless, so it was 29,000 with an acre of land, and the house needed work, lots of work, in my opinion. And so we did nothing to it, turned around and started marketing it, and we got a buyer. We sold it for $75,000.
Okay.
Did nothing to it. Got $15K down. So we're financing $60,000, and we get a monthly income of roughly $792 a month for the next 10 years. And so we're out of, what is it, $14K investment basically after, because we got $15,000 back, and we had where can you put $14,000 and make almost $800 a month for 10 years?
Not mobile homes. That's what you. How long did it take to turn around and sell that property? Or how many people walking through before like, oh, I want it? Okay,
We
right.
had several actually, and it did not take long.
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it closed. I think it was like from when we purchased it to the end, it might have been about a 6-week, give or take, one.
Well, then I'll ask the question that I guess it was kind of a common question if you're not involved with mobile homes. It's like, why wouldn't this gentleman, unless he was had to get out, there was a gun to his head, why wouldn't he sell it to somebody else for more money or for the same amount, or what took him to find you?
He just wanted to be done with it. They were moving. Oh, that's what it was. The wife's grandma passed, and they got a home willed to them, and they just wanted to move and be done with this property. And he really didn't want the headaches, right?
He didn't want the headaches, and he's only lived in this property for 2 years. And when he bought it 2 years ago, he paid $50,000 for it. So he took a loss, and he was okay with it. He understood basically our business, because as him being a mechanic, he buys cars and sells a few cars. So he understands the process. And that even made it easier, because I was like, yeah, we kind of have the same interest. We just do it in 2 different fields.
Well, he really liked Michael, obviously.
Who doesn't?
Right.
So well done. I mean, that's fantastic. You'll probably break even in 2 years maybe?
Probably. I didn't get those numbers, but roughly then.
Something like that, and then just cash flow for the next little while, and
right
on.
Yeah. But it's a lot of building the relationships. It really is about relationships. A lot of it.
With who?
With the sellers. So we can get, have that opportunity. You can relate to them and feel for them and help them from whatever their situation is, because 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of situation that they just want out from.
And they probably won't tell you that up front, at least not right away.
Some of them won't.
Some of them won't.
Yeah. Some tell you too much, and you're like, I didn't want to know all that.
That's right. I mean, just the first phone call, you don't even know who I am. You're telling me all this stuff. Like, what is going on? Oh, my gosh. Do you find that people are, by the time that you make first contact and then you make an offer, what's that time frame where, most people we close within a week, or most people we have a contract signed within a week, or no, sometimes it could take, most of the time it takes like 2 months, to...
It varies. We found it's varied. It depends on their situation, how much time they need to get out, because we're always on their timeline. We don't ever want to force anybody out with nowhere to go.
No, and that's the benefit of an investor. Like, you can take your time, or, we can work with you.
Yeah. So, and then some just want it done now, and we're like, okay, all right, I won't go to bed tonight, and I'll make the contract.
Boo-hoo. Yeah, like, damn.
But not majority of the time, though. We have a little bit of time, like a week or so. Some need more, few weeks, maybe a month. But we don't. Neither here nor there. We'll move as fast as they do. What's
something that you just maybe weren't surprised about with regards to mobile home investing? If you can, kind of think back when you were first coming into this niche, just something that you weren't expecting. Yeah, anything like that.
I think about the one thing is the clientele that live in the homes. I actually had a really warped thinking, and what's the word? Well, I grew up I'm from Vegas, and so you just, a lot of us grew up with the stigma of like trailer trash. I hate to say that, but it's true. And you just think of, Billy Bob with chew in his mouth and no teeth, like coming to the door, but that's not the case at all. I mean, now sometimes it could be, but
I have ran into that though. She doesn't go out in the field.
Yeah.
Not stereotype, but I'm just saying they are actually really wonderful people at the end of the day. There's a lot. They're normal people just like anybody else, and some make a great living, some live day to day, but they're still, majority of them are really good people. And that was a surprise to me for some reason. I don't know why, but it was just that there's more. I don't know if normal is the word. That's not what I mean, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not trying to.
Correct. Well, and how crazy. It's people. I mean, they're people. The people that we would see in Walmart, people that we would go to the, see in the movie theater or the mall, or it's semi-normal people for the most part. So it's like, why would we even think that there would be weird or different people? It's like there's teachers in there, and I think a couple pharmacists in my mobile homes.
There is, yes.
Engineers.
We sold a home to a.
We sold a home to. He is a air control trafficker. Now, this guy makes over $150,000 a year, and he lives in a mobile home, a manufactured home. It blows my mind on a type of clientele that I would have never, ever thought would live in a mobile home. I mean, but, I think in our business, in different parts of the country and region, mobile homes are looked at different or accepted a little more because they're around.
I agree. I'm gonna have to do some thinking about that. I'm gonna actually put that on the Facebook group and ask that question. That's a really good question. If the stigma. I mean, I only know my experience from when I grew up, but that's a really good point. Just socially acceptable from town to town, or city, or state to state, or south, or north to south, or east to west. I'm curious on what people will say to that.
Cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's it depends on where you're at in the country. How more acceptable it is.
So I lost my train of thought while I was coughing. So. But I agree with what you're saying. I
agree.
It just, so that, excellent so far. Really having a lot of fun. This next part, I'd like to talk about something negative versus, instead of it all being sunshine in mobile homes.
So we'll go over an opportunity that we have right now, or it's one of our homes, and I'm trying to sell it, and I'm having a difficult time.
Oh, so let's do that. Yeah, please.
You talking about Rome?
I'll talk about two. We have two scenarios.
Let's talk about them right now. Let's just go into it. We're here. We're recording.
All right. Well, here, let's go on a little bit of a different note on doing what more or less a negative deal.
Okay.
Not so good. And what I'm seeing, and it might not be just me. I mean, I'm sure it could happen all over, but we have a home in a 55 and plus community. My suggestion, I will not buy another one in a 55 and plus community. From my experience, it cuts down the buyer pools quite a bit. Now, we have a great home, double wide, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we're just having a tough time selling it right now. So we actually called the park manager. She told us what was going on in the park. They've been having a tough time even with their own homes. So instead of them selling them, they have been renting their homes out. So we're getting more insight.
The market has changed for right now a little bit. So is what the park manager was saying.
From the last couple of years, or because it's the season? I
think it's seasonal right now.
Okay.
I think that's what we're getting.
Really value. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was curious just about the home. So it's a gorgeous looking home. It's in a 55 plus community, and it's been on the market now for
going on 2 months now.
Oh, 2 months. Okay.
And haven't even got a qualified buyer because people, people are looking at the lot space rent, a little high, $638 a month.
Yeah.
Which I understand when you're 55 and above community, you know, some people that are 55 are getting up to retirement age. They're slowing down. They're not bringing in as much income.
They're on a fixed income,
you know,
a lot of them.
And that's been the biggest thing, is really getting a buyer for that property.
This property, we actually had a buyer that we owner financed. Okay. And this was our first one, and only one that we've gotten back. She voluntarily surrendered it because she couldn't afford it anymore. She had lost her job, whatever, life happens. So we got it back, which is the best way to get it back, is when they voluntarily give it back. Right. But so we got it back and just had to clean it up, and now been trying to sell it, and it's been difficult, you know.
Have you broken even yet from that first buyer?
No.
Okay. And you're paying lot rent on it?
Yeah.
Yes, every month. It's almost
$638 a month.
Yeah, but then you've got your utilities and stuff, so it's a little more than that. But
most of your properties sell within the first 2 weeks, two months for sure, maybe 1 month.
Yeah.
Typically.
Okay.
We've got a couple that have taken longer, but
okay. I agree, but if you know the price that your home should sell for, you put it on the market. Owner financing is one of the most attractive things about our home. So with enough people walking through it in the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you find someone that wants to get approved. Hopefully they get approved, and you can sell it. With this property though, you're not, so you can usually identify the link in the chain of where the problem is. So you're advertising it, and depending on how you're advertising, are you getting a lot of calls or any walkthroughs? And I mean, where does it kind of stop? Do people like it after they walk through and nobody applies, or?
No one has walked through the property in the last month. I just changed the strategy about 2 weeks ago. I'm getting a lot more calls now. I lowered the price. I lowered the down move-in fee. So we're getting a lot more, but I'm just weeding them out right now.
Okay.
So I'm hoping within hopefully 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we'll have it locked under contract. Because I'm just trying different things and seeing what works.
We've changed our ads and everything along the way. You know, every couple weeks you got to reevaluate and, you know, what's working or what's not working.
For sure. And for the folks listening, you know, if you market big, you know, advertise in all the ways you think that you can, because like you said, 2 weeks, every day you're paying holding costs. So after that 2 weeks of time, you can listen to the market and say, okay, clearly no one is calling off of this price or these terms. Now, if you're only advertising on Craigslist, you don't know really if that's a problem with your advertising or a problem with the people not liking that price. But if you advertise everywhere you can think of, then online and offline, then you'll know, you'll have a sense, okay, well, people are clearly seeing this message and nobody's liking it. So you're advertising, you know, pretty significantly. You did lower the price. If you have to lower the price even more, do you get into this home at a good enough point where there's plenty of wiggle room? Like you can drastically lower and still break even?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, and at one point, I mean, we're paying almost $700 a month. So that's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm cool with just let's move on if I have to, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, the houses were selling for more, a while back, but now we're in a market. It was because we got it back around the holidays. And so now we're fighting that whole holiday season. I don't know. It's crazy because here in that one park, that's the problem, but outside of not so much always, you know, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because of the pool, the lesser pool of 55 and older.
Right.
You do, that's a drastic drop in your pool of buyers.
Are there other homes in that same park that are just holding and holding, and then other senior parks nearby similar?
There's not too many senior parks nearby.
There is.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. But
there is. There's a lot of senior parks nearby. In the park where ours is, I think there's 2 people or 3 people that are selling homes in there, and they're all more expensive than ours, and their house is sitting on the market as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see. With different strategies, I'm sure it'll sell.
Any thoughts with renting this home? Or if you could, even, if the park would let you?
Here's what I thought. Instead of renting it, do owner finance and just bring down the down payment to almost nothing, right?
Right.
I mean, you get out of paying a lot space rent, and you'll make your residual every month, and then you can be done with it.
Right.
Well, hopefully
that's
that
the
you
way
don't
to
get it
do
back
it.
again.
Yeah. But take way less of a down payment, kind of adjust your thinking and do what you said. Maybe do like 2 or 3 months, put that as your down payment, and say, hey, we're going to switch this up. We're going to do owner finance, but we're going to take way less of a down payment to get somebody in there and just be done with it. That could work as well.
That absolutely could work.
I have a little bit of a different feeling about that, only because I wasn't crazy about this. The buyer that gave it back to us, that we originally financed for this home, I wasn't crazy about her on paper anyways. And I was like, I just don't feel like, we took 3,000 down.
Yeah.
And that it was difficult for her to get the 3,000. And that Michael was like, it's okay. It's like one of our, probably one of our first couple of them. It wasn't our first one that we had done, but it was our first couple.
That was kind of a one question as well. It's like, what made you do inside this 55? Was it just to try something new? And then did you verify that there were buyers?
Right. Well, we did, because the market was really good then. So we had no problem initially getting what we wanted for it. And so we got her in, but she still was I just thought she was too shaky of a, person to take on. And so since she only has my thought process is I like to get more down, because then they have more skin in the game. She only put 3,000 down. That's easy to walk away from, right, for a lot of people. You put a lot more down, getting closer to 10,000. Some people might think about it. So getting less down, it's a balance. You got to just kind of weigh out the things. I'm not saying I'll never do that, what he's saying, but I'm not fond of it. Let's just put it that way.
Completely agreed. Completely agreed. No matter who you put in your home, they should be, well, and the fact that somebody has savings and will put their money where their mouth is, says a lot about them. Like, actions speak louder than words. But if they don't have that, certainly have sold homes with very little to move in, and you, in my opinion, make those folks jump through so many hoops. They have to be, no evictions, great credit. You want them to go to the home at a certain time. You want them to follow directions. Call me back when I say to. Yes sir, no sir. Like, you should really keep both eyes super open if somebody's not going to pay you anything down, because who has nothing down? Everybody. People with no jobs, people homeless. It's so easy to get a bad person in that home. And the seniors, they're just as flaky as a bunch of seniors have told me, oh, you don't ever have to worry about your payments, and I'm never going to be late. I get the guaranteed money. Why would I be late? I'm old. They're just as flaky as their 30-year-old younger counterparts a lot of times. So
can be.
Can be.
I'm just really we've really adjusted our process, qualifying process over the time that we've been in, the last few years that we've been in. And we do a lot more regimen. I really try to qualify them, and if I don't feel good about them, then I don't feel good about them.
No,
Michael gets upset with me sometimes because.
Hey, intuition is a real thing.
But I was like, I got it in my gut. I just don't know about this person, And usually your gut's right. Mine is.
For sure. And just wait another month. Rather have it vacant for one more month. Than have a negative person in there.
That's exactly what I say. Yep. Let's pay $700 more. Yes, it hurts. But if I get that person, that end buyer that is going to be that much better, well, then it was worth that extra $700, because we'll get it back in time anyways.
You'll get it back right. And just not, so much less headaches, calls every month. The only people I can really think about for my tenants are the ones that cause me trouble, or the ones that are constantly late. All the other people I've kind of forgotten about a little bit. Or I have to think about, because they're just pay on time, and that's what you want, to forget about people. They do their own repairs.
That's right. Well, see, that's another thing is our model. We do not want to be landlords. We only want to hold the paper, I'll hold the note, and that is it. I don't want anybody calling us to fix a toilet or whatever. So we will stay away from that as much as possible. That would be last resort.
I'm getting into more with mobile homes on land. I am starting to dabble more and more into renting those. I can depreciate them. I can pass them to my kids one day.
Real estate.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, each his own. Not that, it doesn't work. It's just not for us.
Right.
So.
And how cool that there's so many different ways. I mean, even if it was on land, you can rent the land, sell the home, or rent both, or sell both.
That's right.
So
in fact, we had an opportunity that came about. We were going to do that with. So.
Definitely keep me posted on that and try it for sure. It's fun. I mean, people usually don't move it off your land. You can have an agreement where they have to stay for so long. You are helping people locally as well. Has there been a lot of value gained that way? Are you doing deals with local people out of curiosity? What's the results there? I think that's so cool. By the way, just for folks listening, you have a meetup group locally. And
yes.
Is it real estate or it's mobile homes?
No, it's for investors.
Oh, okay.
In real estate, however you invest, in real estate or mobile home, whatever you do, kind of that's what we're putting out. It's called Outside the Box meetup group, just so we promote creating, creativity.
Heck yeah.
Think outside the box. And we feel like investing in mobile homes can be outside the box. Yeah. As most of us most other investors look at us and when we're like, we do mobile homes, they're like, what? That's okay. You think that all you want because we'll just run to the bank. And we had to start all over because we're originally from Las Vegas and we were full-time investors there in single family homes and started doing mobile homes before we moved.
So that was about a year and a half ago.
A year and a half.
I remember that conversation. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies. Okay.
Yeah. And so we had to really go out there and network and meet new people. And we thought, well, we have kids, and which take up a lot of our time too, because they're 11 and 9.
And they go with you to I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. They go with you to the different appointments.
Well, and sometimes they do.
Or sometimes, yeah, I think that's so cool. Yeah, you flashed up a few pictures or the rehabs or yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And, so anyways, we wanted to bring people to us. And we also want to give them value and share our experiences, our good, our bad and ugly and all in between, whatever. We've done a little bit of a lot of different things because not only have we invested and flipped single family homes, but we're private lenders as well. So we fund other investors and we've been doing that for a few years. My father got sick and died of ALS. And so when he was, not to bring the call down in any way, I'm just saying when he got sick, I couldn't go and find and spend the time that I wanted to buying homes because it was important to take care of him and get him, be with him because he was diagnosed and a year later he was gone. So in that time, I found private lending and that was a blessing because had I not had mentors that taught me that, and I would have never known about it. I didn't know how to do that. And well, now this situation that I got into with my dad forced me to do that because it's income without me doing really much of anything. It's a couple hours of your time to put the package together and evaluate it. And then you make a return 6 months or so down the road, It's a great avenue. So we have that. And then we went to mobile homes and we bought at auction. We've bought from motivated sellers. We've done a lot of, a little bit of a lot. So I think that we bring value and we can help other investors try to find their niche. Everybody wants to do single family homes and that's great. We were actually, when we were doing them, we did not have an open mind. We were stuck in the fix and flip world.
Oh.
And I marketed and I spent a ton of money on marketing and I threw away so many opportunities because it didn't fit that model, fix and flip, it just didn't fit that model. I couldn't make the numbers that I wanted to make. Well, I could have sold those properties so many different ways, but we weren't there, mentally. And so those are types of things that I like to teach our journey of how we've evolved. I mean, we came from one way of thinking, one track mind to now we have so many ways that we make money. And it's all in investing in real estate or mobile homes, and now it's real estate with mobile homes on them.
Thank you so much, seriously, for being here and for helping others locally and for helping sellers and buyers. I mean, you have, in every home that you've worked on, you've helped the seller get out of their situation. You've changed somebody's life when you've sold them that home. When you sell people homes, have you had the experience yet where people are, just overcome with emotion and super thankful?
Yes, we actually just sold and closed on a property last Friday that these people were, they're at retirement age, they're retired, and their sister actually fell into hard times. And so they were taking their retirement funds to help get her a home. And so they bought our home. They loved it. This was a home that we bought in one park and moved it to another park. Oh. And then we did the rehab, made it really nice. It was a great home anyways, but we just cleaned it up and fixed what needed to be fixed. The flooring needed to be, some areas were a little soft, so we fixed those and what have you. But it's gorgeous. It was a gorgeous home. And they loved it. They fell in love with it, and they could not have been more ecstatic and more happy, and just doing whatever they could to make this happen, and work with us so they can get their sister this home. And they just were very, very appreciative, and she just couldn't thank us enough. And I mean, just wonderful people, but overjoyed with thanking us.
Congratulations. I mean, just for turning that property and for putting them in there. And I mean, they found it and they stepped up and did what had to be done to get the place. Did you sell that cash or payments?
No, it says this is payments.
Okay.
So yeah, this particular one, I actually have the numbers here. Give me 2 seconds. Number 9.
Time's up.
Sorry. Okay, so yes, so after we purchased it for $9,000.
Purchased it for $9,000.
But then we had
$1,000
back taxes and stuff we had to bring up, so it was like $12,000.
No, it was 10.
Oh, 10, sorry. And then we did the rehab, moved it. Okay, so that's an expense. Then you got to hook up the electric, the sewer line, put back skirting on it, decking. So it's not a regular rehab.
I've learned a lot on moving and then reinstalling and everything you have to do that's involved in that, because you actually don't learn it until you do it and really get your solid numbers down.
Question, why would you add, I mean, I'm sure there's an answer. Why would you add the cost of moving a home if I assume it's in the same vicinity within an hour. I mean, why would you move the home if you don't?
Because it was in a rental dominated park that we don't want rentals. We want owners. So
it was in a big name park. It was in a number 1 or number 2 parks nationwide. Oh. But what you are competing with in that park is they do a lot of rentals.
Yeah.
So there was chance to keep it there and to, possibly do the whole thing. But I seen an opportunity. The park in my own backyard, we're very good with them. They like us a lot. So I said, you know what? I'm going to move it. I'm okay with that. It's closer. I can make it the way we want it, and we can watch it.
Yeah, we've done a lot of homes in this park, and so anytime a space comes available, we're the first ones they call.
Will they pay for part of the move, or?
No, but they give us free rent.
Okay.
Lot rent for X amount of time, Excellent. And we've done very well with that. Where this particular home, we did not have to pay any lot rent. We got the buyers, soon enough before we had to pay, so that was good. But yeah, we went to a new park, to the park that we do a lot of business in, moved it there. And so with the rehab and the move and everything, we were into it just over $18,000, which seems like a lot for some, but it was a very nice home. We're in it, so $18,000. We sold it for $35,000, and we get a $5,000 deposit, and we're making just over $400 a month for 10 years. And so our investment out of pocket is just over $13,000 to make $400 a month, just over that, for 10 years.
It's a very profitable deal.
Yeah.
Right on.
I mean, we've sold one that was in the same park that we bought, the one that we turned like in a 24-hour time.
All right, here, listen to this one. Here's some creative stuff. The woman had a home. Her mother had to go into an assistant living home. She wanted to sell this home for $5,000. The park manager actually told the lady, here's Mike's number, but your home's not worth that much. It's worth about this. And the park manager was right. It was worth about $2,000. So I was able to convince the lady to sell it to me for $1,800. I gave her a $100 down payment with all the paperwork, so it's mine. I sold that thing. I put a sign on it in 24 hours.
God, we had like 10 people look at this
We
property.
had 10 people look at it, and listen, this thing needed some work.
It's a dump.
It
was
needed
a
some
dump.
work. I sold it for I think it was $10,065 or $11,065 within a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was kind of like a hoarder's house too.
Wow.
So we had to go in. We spent, the only thing we spent was the $300.
it was like $350.
He got some day laborers, came and cleaned out the house, and that was it. But it needed work. I mean, it had, one of the bathrooms wasn't working. So there was a lot to do. But because of this park, what we found out is the people that live in this park, a lot of them are family. So they buy, anytime one comes up, they buy for their other family member, and then they go and fix them up. So this wasn't a problem for this one certain family. They're used to fixing their mobile homes up. So they came in and paid us, $11,000 in 20. So
There's a cash deal.
Yes.
Hey, that.
Cash, dude.
Okay, now. Right on. How many deals would you, or not? How many? Are park managers a good lead source for you?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Very, very good. And I really think if you focus and you like a certain park, I go to this one park at least twice a week.
Oh wow.
I show my face. I get some good deals there, and I bring homes in. So, and it's not far from the house. So I think that's a plus when you can do that.
Right on. Yes. It sounds a little cheesy, but especially if you're already in the park or doing deals, they see your face.
Yeah.
I mean, who else? If they want you there or like you there or don't mind you there, those properties will come up. People will get themselves into trouble, and they will need to sell quickly. And if you know that the park doesn't really do anything with it, yeah, put yourself in that position. I mean,
Yeah.
bring
Well,
some
they look-
donuts, bring some coffee.
Exactly.
Once they know what we're doing and they see the value that we're bringing them, I mean, we're putting out a great product too. When we do fix a home up, when we have to do that, it's a nice home.
I'm glad you said that. So, and it really does matter, like the area, the buyer, the park. I mean, you're not selling. The home, the prices and the terms when we sell them reflect, what the home's condition is. So that $10,000 home, that was a $10,000 home. The homes that you're selling for $35,000, those are nicer, cleaner, and there's a buyer for each one of those homes. So thank you so much for being here again, both of you. And my phone's always on for you. Call me, text me, anything like that. But congratulations on what you're doing. Seriously, you have, the flags that you've planted in your area. I mean, you're obviously not going anywhere. You're just scaling up. So.
Yeah. Our next one is getting parks. So
Yes.
it might be a little bit, but that's where we're going.
Keep me posted. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that too. I mean, just yeah.
Yep. That'll be a whole nother
Cool.
call.
Okay, well, okay. We can record that one. We don't even have to record it. It could just be us. We're brainstorming. All right. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you so much again for being here.